people say, well, how do you work with these folks? So let me lay out my experience in terms of what's required to successfully coach someone who's abrasive, but you want to work with them because they're competent and they add value to the organization. So the first thing is you need management and HR participation. Everybody else knows there's a problem. So the tee-up, if you would, or the setup that's required is that the boss or bosses of this person and or HR have to have had some conversations with them and said, this is not working, we need to do something differently here. I know you are our best blah, 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 and if you don't change your ways, we're going to do something different, perhaps including termination if you don't get your act together. So that's the first piece, okay? Secondly, person or the coach actually has to accept that they need to do something and they have to agree to be willing to work with you, right? You can't, right? So you have to have that conversation. This is different, fundamentally different than developmental coaching with high potentials. Third thing is that you have to gather data. And there's an aspect of non-transparency in this that's different, in that what I will usually do once the person has agreed to work with me is I ask them for about 8 or 10 people to talk to with whom they have frequent and or significant interaction where they think there's some bad vibes or rub, okay? And then, and I let them know I'm going to do this, but in order for me to actually go out and do the research on their behalf to see how they're coming across or how they're perceived, I will actually go to the boss and or HR and ask them, is there someone else that I need to talk to? Because sometimes they don't know all those people. Right after that, I will actually go and teach them the TAD dynamic. So they get that at first. And actually, let me just go one. What did I do with the? Right over there. Thank you. It's a good thing I have the two of them here, because otherwise, you know, okay. So the TAD dynamic is a concept only that you have to put into action. The second two parts of the model, or the second and third parts, are the insight cycle in terms of application of the TAD dynamic. So that once somebody gets okay, when I talk to people this way, they feel threatened, they get anxiety, and they either fight me or flee. Then we have a conversation about what else could you do. So once we've figured out what it is that they're working on, we then sit down and devise a new strategy for them in terms of how do you have that conversation with that person in a way that's different. So we will go through it and mentally test it a few times. We come up and we create a test. And I will actually say, well, go try that with these people the next week and come back and we'll talk about, did it work? You create with them a new strategy for approaching people that they were not successful with before, based on the data, based on the specifics they're working on. What's the approach or the strategy, the influence strategy that we need to that you need to keep practicing deliberately to get better at? Okay, if that's working, test it, implement, we review and evaluate just like a business process, what worked, what didn't, and how do you keep working with that? And success begets success.